Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast today. Children's Rights Council of Cleveland assists families with a variety of issues from parent education to mediation. Its executive director, Marianne Dybeck, is here to talk more about the organization. Also today, Margaret Roach of Stella Maris will share information about a benefit for Stella Maris. And later in the broadcast today, we'll hear from the Urban League's Marcia about the many programs offered to the public here in the Greater Cleveland area. Good morning again. I'm Leon Bibb. This is Kaleidoscope, and so we begin. Beginning with Marianne Dybeck, Director of the Children's Rights Council of Cleveland. Good to have you with us, Marianne.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell me, what is the Children's Rights Council of Cleveland?
The Children's Rights Council of Cleveland is an advocacy organization to help educate parents, and not only parents, but also grandparents and extended family, about how important it is to keep children safe when they're not with their parents. I think when we were young, we used to say don't treat the children as pawns. We don't really say that anymore, but that's kind of what we're trying to educate parents and extended family. If there's a divorce or a separation, never been married, remember the children don't have anything to do with this, and they need to be loved equally by both parents and have access to both parents.
So what is it that you do to make sure that the children have their rights and are not forgotten?
We try to educate the parents. A lot of parents just don't understand. They're so angry, maybe going through a divorce, they're very angry, and they forget about the children. So we educate them on the importance of keeping their issues away from the children, making sure their children feel loved and safe and secure.
This has got to be a big problem in our area. It's got to be a big problem in America.
Yes. You know what? It's a big problem globally. I've attended global conferences where people from every country have this issue, some worse than ours. I mean, ours is pretty bad here in America, but it is a global issue.
Where are you based right here in the Greater Cleveland area?
Lakewood, Ohio.
What is it that you do to get the mothers and the fathers to sit down and to not forget the children? Give me an idea of what you do.
Again, it's back to education. I typically don't see both parents at the same time. Typically, we have one parent come in who is so stressed out. 90% of our clients are actually the fathers who have been denied access to their children because of one situation or another. So it's our job to get them, if we can get them to do mediation. We do have a mediator that they can come in and mediate their issues. To
get them to, if we can get them to talking, we can solve the problem.
Yes, our job is not really to get the parents to talk, but to educate one parent or the other on how you should get together to talk. It's more up to the courts to mandate the mediation process.
We're going to hold this shot right here because you brought this photograph with you. Because why did you bring it with you? Why is this special for you?
This is an old magazine that our national office puts out, but it is my favorite because you see the girl on the cover and she's got a tear and it says, "I love Mommy and Daddy, why can't I be with both of them?" And that is our biggest. We are proponents of shared parenting. We would like to educate both parents, the fathers, the mothers, and again the extended family, on how important it is to maintain a relationship with their children, whether they're separated or divorced or whatever the issue is.
Now, what is the Children's Rights Council of Cleveland? Where does it get its money? Where do you get the money to do the things that you do?
We have a little bit of grant money, but mostly we depend on our membership fees. It's $60 to join as a member. That lasts for 6 months. And you get a lot of benefits from that. You get support. We do a radio show that's on the internet. We go live every Wednesday, first Wednesday of every month. And then our shows are archived, so our job is to get information out there.
Can we find that on your website?
Yes.
The show is on your website?
Yes.
Which is crckids.org, crckids.org, and they can link up with that radio show on the internet.
Yes.
And there's a telephone number on the screen as well. We're giving you 227-9111 in the 216 area code, 216-227-9111. You see it at the bottom of the screen. What are some of the challenges facing your organization?
The challenges, our biggest challenge is child support issues, because when the payor gets a child support order, they really don't know what they're getting into. I mean, it's a court order, so there's no real education available when they're given an order, a lot of times they don't understand it. They will not make any payments for 1 or 2 months and then get in serious trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, serious. If you're in default on your child support, you could face jail time.
Does the court send couples to you? Or how do they get to you?
We get referrals from the United Way, First Call for Help. Sometimes, yes, we do get court referrals from the court. We also do supervised visitation.
Yeah.
So we get referrals from the court for that.
You've got your hands full.
Yes.
I mean, this is a big problem. Divorces, separations, never been married, couples, they bust up, kids are left in the middle, kids are wondering, where do I go, what do I do? So there's a lot of counseling that you do.
We don't counsel the children. The only time I see the children is if we do a court-ordered supervised visit. So that's the only time we actually get to see the children. We do, however, suggest highly to the parents that if their children are suffering emotionally, that they do hook up with some kind of counseling for their children.
Somebody out there is saying right now, well, they're saying, Marianne Dybeck, Director of Children's Rights Council of Cleveland, I need to get to you. My boyfriend, my husband, my whatever, my wife, my whatever, needs to get to you and we need to talk. What do? Do they simply make a phone call?
Yes. You can call us directly at 216-227-9111. You can call our national office. You can get online, look up our national office.
But if they start with that telephone number right here in the greater Cleveland area, you will hook them up with what they need to talk about and with whom they need to talk.
Right. When our members first come in, we kind of triage their case. What we do is we take down all the case facts. And then we have a network of attorneys who some do pro bono work for us. So we'll sit down with our attorneys and we'll say what is the best route for these people to go, and they'll help triage the case and we'll get you the help that you need for your specific issue. It's
called the Children's Rights Council of Cleveland. Marianne Dybeck is its director. The phone number is 227-9111 in the 216 area code. Thank you so much, Marianne, for being on the broadcast.
Thank you.
We wish you well, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll take a break. I'll be right back in just a moment. This is Kaleidoscope. Back after this. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. Stella Maris is a local treatment facility that provides services to chemically dependent and mentally ill individuals. Its executive director is Margaret Roach. She's here to talk about the agency and the annual fundraiser for Stella Maris. Good to have you with us, Margaret.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Give us a little thumbnail sketch of what Stella Maris does, what it is.
Well, Stella Maris was founded about 62 years ago. Alcoholics Anonymous had only been about 13 years old in Akron, which had its beginnings there. And there was a recognition that there needed a place to go for what then was termed derelicts and street bums to come and dry out was the term. Over the years, of course, we've evolved into a full medical unit for detoxing, providing a medically managed safe withdrawal from alcohol and drug. And because we mainly served a medically indigent and homeless population, we recognized the need for ongoing care. So we've evolved over the past 62 years into providing the medical unit, a brand new outpatient building, which we finished 2 years ago, raised $2.7 million for that, and a 40-bed residential facility for homeless men.
Where are you located?
We're located at the top of the flats at 1320 Washington Avenue.
Right on the west side.
Right on the west side.
On the near west side.
Right.
I mean, the work that you do, you see a continuing need because people who are become alcoholic dependent and...
Right. And in my tenure, I've been there 25 years, and when I first came to Stella Maris, there was primarily an alcoholic population and a group of men who worked, who needed to come in and pluck down some money and detox and get ready to go back to work. But over the past years, we've seen such a rise in opiate addicts and men and women who have started to use much earlier with no education, no employment. So when they present, addiction is their primary problem, but there's a host of other social services that they need.
I'm going to get to your fundraiser in just a minute.
Okay.
I know you've got that coming up. But tell us what Stella Maris does, what it means, rather.
Stella Maris means, in your Latin, if you remember your Latin in your school days, Star of the Sea. And our location, being at the top of the flats, was a port where ships would come in, and sailors, who have obviously been dubbed notoriously as drinking sailors, would come in for detox. And at that time, it was just alcohol that they'd take them in for 4 or 5 days. But our organization, well, and the sailors actually prayed to this legendary woman of the sea, a guiding light that would guide their ships to a safe port. Father Otis Winchester, who was an assistant pastor at St. Malachy's, Stella Maris to him meant Star of the Sea, which meant in the Catholic philosophy the Blessed Virgin.
And the name has stuck.
And so the name has stuck. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that fundraiser now. You've got a fundraiser. Jack Mattia Chevrolet is involved with this.
Yes.
And you're gonna do something with a Chevrolet, with a Corvette.
We are extremely excited about this fundraiser. Every year we do a fundraiser, and it's typically a raffle. And we usually raffle off a money prize and sell 400 tickets and raise about $30,000 to $40,000. But this year, through one of my board members, actually Mike Gallagher, contacted Jack Mattia, and he donated a 2010 red convertible Corvette. So we're selling 1,500 tickets at $50 a piece and hoping to raise $75,000, which the dollars raised will be for a facelift to the medical unit.
I've got 2 minutes remaining. Where can we find the tickets? Where can we buy the tickets? How do we go about that? And where's the big fundraiser going to be?
Okay, you can buy tickets at our website, which is www.stellamariscleveland.com. You can also call 216-781-0550. And they'll direct you on the website who to call, what to do, and how to order your tickets or purchase them online.
And then you're going to select the winning ticket. Somebody's going to get a brand new red Corvette.
I know, and everyone that calls, I say, "Oh, that's the winning ticket."
Yeah. How can you use the money now? You want to raise $70-some thousand.
$75,000 will really provide a cosmetic facelift to our medical unit, which, when you're in the nonprofit business, every year you're raising money, aside from operations, to do something that needs to be done. Last year we put on a new roof in one of the facilities and so forth. So this year we have new lighting, new flooring, reconfigure the nurse's station and the doctor's office, and new windows.
And this is going to be right there on Washington?
Yes, and the drawing is going to be held at Jack Mattia Chevrolet. And
when's that?
That's July 3rd. And he's going to provide hot dogs and popcorn and sodas and coffee.
Well, maybe somebody wants to come out and take a look at the drawing. And you want to give the address on Jack Mattia Chevrolet?
I don't have it with me, but
we'll look it up.
We can look it up. I'm sorry about that.
Jack Mattia Chevrolet. Look it up in the yellow pages. Maybe I can do so in the commercial break before our next segment. But this is a big one. This is a big one, and this is so important because it lets you keep doing the work that you're doing with those who are addicted to alcohol and have mental issues as well.
Right. And literally, there would be people who would die. In particular, alcoholics. Alcoholics can suffer seizures, go into pancreatitis, have horrible medical problems. And there are not that many resources out there for people who have no insurance and who are homeless.
Let's put the phone number on the screen. Ask and it shall be given as you see it is there, 781-0550, or you can go to StellaMarisCleveland.com, StellaMarisCleveland.com. You see the spelling there at the bottom of the screen. Margaret Roach is Executive Director of Stella Maris. Good to have you on the broadcast,
Leon,
Margaret.
Thank you very much.
And be well, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you
for what you do.
Okay, thanks.
I'm so appreciative of the work of the Stella Maris organization. I've got to take a break. In a moment, we will hear from Marcia Maccabee of the Urban League. She's going to talk about something special that you need to know about because it is vital to our community after we take this break. Welcome back to Kaleidoscope, and I'm going to give you the address of Jack Mattia Chevrolet, where the Stella Maris organization is going to hold its raffle on July the 3rd for that Chevrolet Corvette. Jack Mattia Chevrolet is at 1100 East Broad Street in Elyria. 1100 East Broad Street, Elyria, Saturday, July 3rd. You can go to the big fundraiser there, Stella Maris raising money, and they're raffling off a Chevrolet Corvette. Well, here right now is my good friend Marcia Maccabee from the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. It's a president. Good to have you with us, Marcia.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Leon. I'm going to enter for that raffle, and I can just see you and I riding around in that red Corvette.
Marcia, you and I will be the talk of the town.
I know that's right.
We'll be the talk of the town.
Yes, we will.
Leon and Marcia. That's hot stuff.
And we'll bring James and Marguerite, too.
Yeah, we'll bring husbands and wives along with us.
Okay. Leon, I wanted to talk a little bit about something today that I haven't talked about before. Usually, you know, we talk about what's going on at the local urban league, or we talk about the national urban league. Well, there's a layer that we have in between that we haven't talked about in a while, and I thought it'd be good to introduce that today. The Urban League of Greater Cleveland belongs to an organization called the Ohio Council of Urban Leagues. There are 9 Urban League affiliates in the state of Ohio, and we are all organized as a 501c3 organization so that we can work collaboratively around policy issues and so forth in the state of Ohio. And we're very excited about that. We meet on a regular basis. We look at policy in education, workforce, various things that we're all concerned about in the state. We've been looking at this casino issue because several of us are involved, you know, in that in our cities. And so we're very excited about this organization and what we can be poised to do in the state.
That's because you're following, because you're all in the same state, you've got to follow state policies, and there are some state issues which you all will have an involvement with.
Exactly, exactly. And also, because we all have similar things that we do, it makes a really good platform for us to present to our state legislators and so forth a way of doing business in the state that urban leagues can address constituencies statewide, not just locally.
So when Marcia Maccabee goes down to the state legislature and pounds on the table and say, this is what we need, they know it's just not Marcia, but it's also Akron and Cincinnati and Dayton and Toledo
Columbus
and all the Columbus and all the other ones.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that we have a very unique opportunity. We're going to be speaking with the governor very soon in July as a unified voice from the state of Ohio for all of the urban leagues. And that makes a lot of sense, is that when we all bring together the supporting and representing our constituencies together, the power of that collective voice really makes a difference.
What's high on your agenda right now here in the greater Cleveland area? What do you keep foremost in mind when you go about your job at running the Urban League of Greater Cleveland?
Wow, outside of stabilizing the organization, which you know is a high priority every day, but when I sort of put that aside, because that's coming along well, I really am thinking about how to address the educational needs of our community, how to address the workforce development issues. We have such a high unemployment rate here. And also looking at how do we really make sure that going forward, the next generation of leaders learn how to connect to the Urban League movement and can become a part of that.
Now, the Urban League movement, in the earliest days, we were talking a lot about civil rights. Back 90 years ago, almost 100 years ago, when the Urban League was formed. Most of those rights have been attained right now. So the turning point has come. So where are we turning now? We are, that victory has been won. Where do we focus?
Very good question. When I talk with the younger generation now, our next generation of leaders, I pose that same question to them. And I say, you know, in the 60s and during the civil rights movement, we were trying to gain the rights legally. And as you said, now we have those. Now it's about our responsibility to really gain access and to become a part of the system. And what young people tell me is they say, you know what, even though the covert racism that we saw during the time of the civil rights movement isn't prevalent, it's very covert, and we need ways to understand how to deal with it in this new arena. So we talk about how to become inclusive, how to use the right to vote, how to gain access, how to become educated and empowered. We're
going to continue our conversation with Marcia Maccabee, who's the president of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. She's going to stay with us for the following segment. But I just want you to know how appreciative we are of everything that you do here in the Greater Cleveland area, and certainly the work of the Urban League. It's been out there for 9 decades, 100 years, I suppose.
Yes.
About 100 years.
93 for us
the
this
work
year.
that it has done. It even helped my parents when they were young people growing up in the Cleveland area. So it helped my parents a great deal. I'm going to take a break. We will continue with Marcia Maccabee, but first, these words especially for you. continue our conversation with the Urban League's Marcia Maccabee. As you well know, the Urban League is one of our partners on this broadcast, and Marcia often graces the set with her presence, and she again is with us today. Marcia, let me ask you, the Urban League has acted as an intermediary with various issues and organizations. Speak a little bit about that, how you work as an intermediary between this and that and bridging the gap.
Okay, thank you, Leon. That's a really good question. And I think a lot about that all the time, because as I'm going out into the community and working with the business community and with the philanthropic community and with the higher education community and the K-12 community and all these different organizations, I often think about our role, and I think that the Urban League is best at this. We are what I call a multilingual broker. And what I mean by that is we speak the language of K-12 education. We know how to speak the language of business. We know how to speak the language of government. And so often we're able to bring these entities together to come up with development of meaningful programs and services for our constituents. But when we get them in the room, they don't always speak the same language. And someone needs to sort of facilitate that conversation and understand everybody's needs so that we can get an agenda formed.
Sometimes you've got a business person over there who says, well, I've got some money that I'm willing to put into a program. Exactly. And you got some folks over here who need some money for a program. Exactly. And you get them together and get the common language.
Absolutely.
You become somewhat of a translator.
Absolutely. And I think what's important that we've been able to do is I like to work from what I call a win-win agenda, where you find out what's the win for this organization and what's the win for this organization, and then you try to help them come to a solution that gets that win for each one.
I've got 1 minute remaining. Okay. How are you doing in the Urban League? You've been in the position now, what, a few months? How many months?
Almost a year.
Almost a year?
Almost a year. It'll be a year in August.
I got about 50 seconds remaining. How are you doing with it?
I'm doing well. The organization is healing and moving forward. We're encouraged every day. We're starting to get phone calls that say, now I don't hear you're still there. Now they're saying, we're glad you're still there, and can you help us with this? So that's a good place to be.
That's the goal of the Urban League, is to help, and certainly it has been a wonderful helping hand. By the way, the phone number to the Urban League is 216-622-0999.
That's it.
That's right to the Urban League, located at East 30th and Prospect Avenue, the Urban League headquarters in downtown Cleveland. That's going to do it for Kaleidoscope. For my good friend Marcia Maccabee and all who appeared on this broadcast, I'm Leon Bibb. Good luck, be well, and we'll talk again.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.